Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Celtic have made it 2-2 to start the Scottish Premiership season. It's a first win on the road as well. Hibs 0, Celtic 2. Match reaction time back in the familiarity of the studio. Let's talk about that. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. It would be much appreciated. You know the script by now. We're here to do the match reaction back in the comfort of my own home. It's nice to be doing it from this seat rather than the car seat. So we've got a few things to talk about. A fantastic win and performance for Celtic. Easter Road, famously a place where Brendan Rodgers' Celtic sides have slipped up on a number of occasions today. Right from the word go. There was no slip-up. Celtic went out, done the business. We stay at top of the table with 6 points out of 6. Brendan Rodgers starting the season strong. Yeah, what else can be said? There's a lot more to be said. Who am I kidding? We've got a lot to talk about. Celtic were so good today. Hibs didn't even get close to Celtic. It was a green and white wash, if you like. We should have and could have had more in the game. We kind of took our foot off the gas as it went on, I thought, but we'll get on to that. Listen, not every game is going to be a walk in the park, but I have a feeling we're going to be saying this a lot this season. You know, and I don't mean to come across as the arrogant Celtic fan. I don't like saying outlandish things early on in a season. I don't like coming across as that ignorant Celtic or Old Firm fan, as they get dubbed, you know, when they think Celtic and Rangers are just superior to everyone in the country. But right now, the fact of the matter is Celtic are looking really, really good. We looked good throughout pre-season. We looked dominant towards the end of last season, and we are branching nicely into the beginning of this season. We are continuing on from where we left off. You know, the last time we played Hibs, we were very, very good. And today, once again, we were very, very good. And, I mean, Easter Road is famously a place where Brendan Rodgers has slipped up. You know, famously, it's been tough for Celtic to get results there. We took a long time to break that curse. It wasn't until the last visit where we finally won at Easter Road under Brendan Rodgers. But today, Hibs didn't lay a glove on Celtic, and we were all over them. As I said, we should have and could have had more today. And this season, I think we're going to be saying this a lot. I think we're just going to be talking about how dominant Celtic are, because everything is clicking at the moment. As Brendan Rodgers said in his press conference last week, you know, this is a Brendan team. And I know it's a David Brentish type statement, and it's one that makes you laugh and giggle, but in all seriousness, this reminds me of Brendan Rodgers 2016, 2017, when we were playing some beautiful football, some of the best football we ever seen in the past, you know, sort of 20, 25 years at Celtic, in this modern era of football. It reminded me of that, and through pre-season, last week, this week, we're seeing more of it. Right now, everything's just going so well. The team are gelling together, and for those like myself who were patient with Brendan Rodgers, and this isn't me saying that we're superior, not by any stretch, don't think that's what I'm saying, but for those who were patient, you're now bearing the rewards of that. That patience has paid off, because right now Celtic are looking dynamite. So it was an unchanged side that took to the field this afternoon at Easter Road, and we started as we meant to go on. Celtic took the lead inside 3 minutes through Nicholas Kuhn's goal. It was well worked by Celtic. It was a parried shot from the keeper that landed to the feet of James Forrest. Forrest got it across to Kuhn. Some very intelligent stuff. You know, a lot of players panic in those sort of moments. The experience of James Forrest shone through. He was patient with it. He got the ball across to Kuhn. He understood the assignment. Celtic had the lead early on, and it's always nice to have that comfort when you're at a place like Easter Road, somewhere where you have struggled in the past, and somewhere that's meant to be one of the tougher places to go in the league. Maybe not at the minute. Hibs aren't great. Hibs are really down in the dumps, you could say. But it's still nice to have an early goal to give you that reassurance for the rest of the game, and Celtic could kind of relax, you know. And I think sometimes, and we've seen it a lot last season, didn't we? Last season, when there was games, not necessarily always at Easter Road, we only played there a couple of times, but just in games in general, if Celtic didn't get a goal early in the game, as the game went on, we got a little bit more tentative, and things got a wee bit more painful to watch as time dragged. And it was like Celtic were running out of ideas. So it's always nice to get that early comfort, that goal early in the game, and that's exactly what Nicholas Kuhn done. Nicholas Kuhn, let's talk about him for a minute. He is looking great. He started the season in a strong manner. That's 2 goals inside the first 2 league games for him, building off the back of a pre-season, which got a lot of Celtic fans talking. I'm really liking what he's bringing to the table at the minute, and he's... Listen, I don't want Celtic to neglect this squad, and I don't want the board to think that everything's okay, because it's not, and that's a topic for another day. Let's not get too bogged down on it right now. But it does add comfort to this situation where I thought Celtic needed a quality winger if we're now getting to see the best of Nicholas Kuhn, because there's a player in there. There's a good wee player in there. And I think the potential is much higher than what we maybe initially thought it was for Nicholas Kuhn. So he started strong this season. If there was one thing just to talk about negatives, which there isn't a lot of in this game, if we were to talk about negatives on Kuhn's side, the one thing I want to drill out his game is that he has that kind of... He's always eager to hang on to the ball a little bit too long. We've seen that 2 or 3 times in today's game where he would run across the kind of edge of the box without releasing the ball, or without, I think, having a plan of what he was going to do with the ball. I think when he starts those sort of runs, kind of going side to side, he doesn't really know what he's going to do with it. And that's the only thing I want him to eliminate from his game. He's got to release the ball quicker. He's got to move the ball quicker. Even if it's having a shot against a congested defence, if he's going to have a shot and it's going to get blocked off a Hibs player, it's better than trying to carry it into nothingness, to create nothing. Because, if he has a shot and it ricochets off a Hibs player, who knows, it might bounce to the feet of Kyogo, it might bounce out to McGregor to have a shot from range, which we'll get on to. I just think that instead of carrying it from one edge to the box, then basically getting to the other edge of the box, move it, release it, pass it backwards if you need to. We're going to come up against a lot of congested defences throughout the course of the season, so that's my only criticism of Kuhn's game at the minute. It can be the only irritating thing about him, but he's looking good, he's looking sharp, most importantly. Somebody who spoke very honestly about his struggles coming into Celtic and how maybe that sharpness wasn't there, that match fitness that he needed. He's looking sharp again, and Nicholas Kuhn started the game very well for Celtic. It didn't take long for us to find a second, and wow, what a second indeed. Callum McGregor. Whoa. Listen, if that's what happens when you retire for international football, I hope everybody's thinking about it. The whole squad. Don't care what age you are. 21, 31, don't care. Retire. Callum McGregor's son, what a hit. Leading by example. Hopefully we see a few of them this season. I mean, Christ, they could have had 2. Done it in the second half and he smacked the post. An amazing finish. Nicholas Kuhn actually got the assist on it as well, so he's stat padding early on this season. Callum McGregor, what a finish. And at that point you're thinking to yourself, this could be a green and whitewash today, scoreline wise. What we're looking at here, we're looking at 4, 5, 6. Are Celtic going to go and score more? They really should have in the first half. There was plenty of good chances. McGregor had a great game in the midfield today, but I think that was the most irritating thing about the first half. We were dominant, but Kyogo should have put one away. There was one that he had a shot and it went across the face of goal. There was a couple of other opportunities that we had. Celtic should have been 3 or 4-0 up going into half-time without a shadow of a doubt, and I think that's the only irritating thing. First half was just liquid brodgeball, is what it was. We were really, really good. And you compare that today to the first game at Easter. Remember Easter Road last season? It was at Halloween weekend. I remember it. And it was one of the most boring games of football you'll ever see. We were really, really poor. I think it finished 0-0 on the day. We were rotten. Compare the first half of that game last year to the first half of the game today. You're looking at 2 completely different Celtic sides. Unbelievable. So that bridged us into the second half, obviously, where Celtic didn't play as well, but we were still in total control of the game, and also did have a couple of chances. Probably could have and should have scored 1 or 2 in that half as well, but we definitely brought down the ruthlessness of the performance, I would say. The intensity did drop a little bit. But listen, I don't have too many complaints because it wasn't as if it was a chore to watch. I still enjoyed what I seen of the Celtic side in the second half. The biggest concern of the second half was Kyogo going down, holding that shoulder. Got to talk about that. Get Adamida in the door now, as soon as possible. Bring him in. Kyogo, I don't like saying this aloud, but he concerns me. The shoulder concerns me. Now, he played 38 league games last season. Missed no game. So, you think of that and you go, well, there's no injury concerns. But that shoulder is going to pop and it's going to pop and it's going to fall out. And we don't have a striker on the bench to turn to when that happens. So we need to get Ida through the door. That was the biggest concern of the second half for me. There was a couple of other wee problems. Mikey Johnson ended up getting battered, broke his nose and burst his eye. But listen, you know, Kyogo, that's the biggest thing for me. That's the proof right there that we need to get Ida in. We need to bring him through the door as quickly as possible. But we did. The intensity dropped in the second half a little bit. McGregor had that chance early on, a shot from range which hit the post. I mean, if that went in, Christ, I would have been hoping for a hat trick of long rangers for McGregor. But listen, we were still really, really good. O'Reilly should have had one late in the game as well, a header that was right at the Hibs keeper. We were still creating chances. Hibs, one of their shots glanced off the bar, but it wasn't totally convincing. Kasper Schmeichel today, once again, like last week, wasn't needed. We could have played with a pair of empty boots in goals, and we would have kept a clean sheet today. The defence is looking good. The midfield is looking even better. And the forwards, yeah, especially in the wings, and Kyogo's looking for that first goal, of course, but in the wings we're looking strong. Right now, everything's just clicking at Celtic, and I, for one, am delighted with what I'm watching. There is not an awful lot of room to be negative about today's performance. It was a great 90 minutes. It's 3 points. We're top of the league, and we're only looking stronger week in, week out. We look like we're getting better and better. Roll on this derby game. That's all I'm saying. I can't wait. But there's not a lot of room to be negative. The one thing that I do want to say though, and this is how I'll end off today's video, is if we had a board who were determined to match the ambition of our supporters, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it's not a point you can ignore. But if we had a board that wanted to match the ambition of Celtic fans, I would love to see where this team could be. You know what I mean? We are miles ahead of everybody in this country. We're not a million miles away from having a squad that's capable of laying a glove in Europe, or putting a glove on teams and making a mark of themselves. Back the manager. Give him the tools to do it, because we have a manager who is vastly overqualified to be winning Scottish Premiership after Scottish Premiership. We have a manager who could be taking us far in Europe. We have a manager who could actually be doing something like Martin O'Neill did. And without the same backing, we're not going to be able to do that. Look at the manager you've got, back him or lose him. There's places there in that squad you can see there's still room for improvement. A couple of players today in that park you can still see there's room for improvement in. As I said, there's not a lot of room to be negative, but if you're just being brutally honest, there is. Back the manager. We're in for a special season if we back him. I can't wait. I really can't wait. I just wish that the board felt the same way. So that does it for the match reaction today. Listen, there's not a point in over-analysing things and giving a full-on tactical breakdown about certain phases of play. Some of the movement and some of the thinking between players is just unbelievable at the minute. There was a couple of occasions we could have scored goals today and they would have been push-cast-worthy nominees. But it was maybe just the last wee thing in the final third that didn't quite pay off for us. Everybody's on the same wavelength at this moment in time, and it's beautiful to see. When last year, remember we were talking about that word we used a lot last year, disjointed. You know, it's the exact opposite now. That disjointed Celtic's gone. Everybody's flowing. Everybody's on the same wavelength. We know where each other is and where to play each pass. It's gorgeous stuff to watch. So yeah, roll on Hibs next week. It's a good dress rehearsal for the League Cup game at Celtic Park. So we'll look forward to that and see what happens. But great way to start the first 2 games in the Scottish Premiership season. God bless Brendan Rodgers. I love him to bits. If you've enjoyed the match reaction, make sure to hit like and subscribe. We will be back on the channel tomorrow to talk about things a little bit more in depth, including the manager's comments and such, and hopefully some transfer news, but we'll see. Right, until then, I'll see you all next time.